Hey friends, my name is Gabrielle and welcome to froo-me-us Reads, and today we are doing my March reading wrap-up. So, the month of March, I feel like I read more books than I currently remember reading. Unfortunately, I was not smart this month and did not make a list as I usually do. Usually I write down all the books I read and like with a little synopsis so I remember them at the end of the month. This month I did not do that for whatever reason. So I'm just going to go off the books that I remember reading. The first book I want to talk about is a children's book. This book was published by John Oliver from last week tonight, and it is called A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. If you guys have not seen or heard of this book, then I highly recommend you guys at least look it up. It is an adorable story about Vice President Mike Pence's bunny and a day in his life as he lives in the White House. Now, originally, John Oliver and his team secretly wrote this book because Mike Pence and his family came out with a book called A Day in the Life of the Vice President featuring Marlon Bundo. Because Mike Pence has some views that are not friendly towards the LGBT community, John Oliver decided to reciprocate by writing his own story from the perspective of Marlon Bundo, in which case Marlon Bundo, while exploring around the White House, and he meets a rabbit named Wesley. And Wesley is a male rabbit, and they fall in love and get married. So I had to download this audiobook. It's narrated by Jim Parsons, who is a perfect narrator for this book, and all the proceeds go to the Trevor Project. And then at the end, it kind of encourages why voting is important. So I thought it was a really cute book. I really loved it. And fun fact, apparently it is also on the #1 Amazon bestseller list. I will leave this book linked in the description down below so that you guys can check it out for yourselves. The second book that I read this month, which I also did a book review on, so if you guys haven't seen that, then now's your chance to go check it out, is Obsidian by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I've talked about this book plenty in my in the book review I did for it, which you guys can go check out. I will leave it linked in the cards and in the description down below. But just off the top of my head, I have to say I loved Obsidian. I thought that it was a great ending to the series. I'm very satisfied with how it ended. I had a few problems with it here and there, mostly the fact that we once again were introduced to new main characters, and in the final, like in the last book of a trilogy, you don't really want to learn about new characters. You want to just kind of see how the characters you're already familiar with, how their conflicts are resolved. But other than that, I definitely recommend this book if you guys have not yet read it, or if you guys have not yet read the Illuminate Files, you definitely should, because it's an amazing series. It's probably one of my favorite series that's come out recently, and I can't say anything more. And all I have are great things to say about it. So Obsidian was a great read of mine this month. I was very happy to see that it came out, and I was very happy that I had a chance to read it. The third book I read this month was Bonfire by Kristen Ritter, which I felt was perfect because also we had the Jessica Jones Season 2 come out this month, and I loved every second of the season. And if you guys have not seen Season 1 or 2, I definitely recommend it. It's on Netflix. Go check it out. Kristen Ritter is a fantastic actress, and she's also a really good writer. I was not expecting much from this book. An environmentalist lawyer goes back to her hometown to explore to kind of address the fact that there is water pollution, and that there is a large company that works in the city that works in the town that is trying to cover up and is really corrupted. And she and her team are working to solve this mystery, and then while she's also there, she's plagued by this mysterious disappearance of a friend of hers from high school, and how she was the original catalyst for making the main character Abby go back to the town in the first place to explore the corruption of the water facility and the plant itself. So it's a really good book. I definitely love it. I love the main cover and just how it's written, and the ending is good. I was satisfied with how they solved the mystery, but for the personal ending, I was just kind of disappointed a little bit. But that's because I tend to root for the underdog, and I don't want to give too much away. But if you guys have not read this book yet, you definitely should. The fourth book I read this month was The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman. I love this book. I cannot get enough of this book. Philip Pullman is one of my favorite authors. He wrote my favorite series ever, which is His Dark Materials. And so when I found out that he was going back to that world, I was super excited to go back and like kind of get into it and read it again. The Book of Dust is Volume 1, La Belle Sauvage, and this is the part 1 of a series, so I'm excited to see what happens next. In the story, we get the origins of Lyra. If you guys are fans of His Dark Materials and you have not read this book yet, then I definitely recommend you need to, because it takes everything that we love about His Dark Materials materials and brings it back to the beginning, and it's so interesting to see like how the origins start, where the origin came from. And finally, the last book I read this month was Raven's Peak by Lincoln Cole. Raven's Peak is a small tiny little town up in the mountains where nothing really ever happens there. All of a sudden all the townsfolk start acting crazy, and supernatural hunter Abigail Dressler is called in to solve the mystery. She is also accompanied by Hatim Arison, who she saved from a demon. And Hatim is just kind of pulled into this world of the supernatural, has no idea what's going on, isn't even sure if he believes any of it. And he ends up having to help Abigail as she tries to rescue this town from these evil demonic forces. It's a really good book. I was blown away by how fantastic this book was. The characters I love the diversity in the characters. But yeah, so overall I had a pretty good reading month. I didn't read as many books as I want to, but then I feel like that's pretty common for everyone who posts on BookTube, is like we never really get through all the books that we want to get through. But I'm really satisfied with the books that I read this month, and I would love to know what you guys read this month as well. If you guys have a March reading wrap-up video, feel free to link it in the comments down below, because I'd love to go through and talk about the books that you guys read. If you guys have any thoughts on any of the books that I mentioned here, then please leave me a comment down below. I'd love to know your opinion on any of the books that I've mentioned. If you guys have not subscribed to my channel yet, then you definitely should, because I upload bookish videos twice a week, as well as reaction videos whenever something cool comes out that I want to react to. But for now, that's all I have for you guys today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Okay. Bye.